What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist, and today I want to talk about these headphones. These are the Mark Levinson number 5909, and I have to say, first of all, I like the name 5909. I just really like the name of these headphones. But these are Bluetooth noise canceling closed back headphones, and on their website, Mark Levinson says that this is effortless luxury, and I have to agree with him. These things are really nice headphones. So much so that I'm like, man, maybe I should at least think about buying a pair of these. I like them a lot. But at the same time, this has been one of the harder product reviews that I've had to do, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about luxury for a minute. As far as design is concerned, these are super nice. What we have here is we have a leather headband with leather ear cups that are nice and soft. These arms swivel in and out really smooth. I mean, this is the smoothest swivel action I think I've ever felt with some headphones. The arms themselves are aluminum, so it's nice and lightweight. And these cups, they are painted in an automotive grade finish. What I have here is the ice pewter, I believe is the color. It's basically a gray, but they also come in a black and a red finish. And I like them all, and I really like the silver. I would probably consider the silver or the black for myself, but I really like the way these look. These are really nice headphones. But once you put them on and you swivel these back and forth, well, let me say this. When you're swiveling, you can lay them flat on a table or in the case, and I'll talk about this case in a minute. But when you're putting them on, just turn them in and put them on your head, and they feel really good on my head. I've got nice coverage over my ears. They have a nice seal to them, and there is adequate clamping force, but no extra pressure. They actually feel really light on my head as well. So I really like the way these feel. I think they've done a great job just thinking about the design of a headphone and giving us a great headphone design as far as comfort is concerned. I don't have any issues. Now, as far as button placement is concerned, they have buttons on the left and the right ear cup. And the cool thing is both of the buttons, or all the buttons rather, are right where your thumb is when you grab these headphones. So if you just push right here and hold, you can power them on, and that's also the Bluetooth connection if you're connecting to another device. But the other button that's just on top of the main power button is the noise canceling button. And there are a few different modes, including a low, a high, adaptive. And there's also an awareness mode, and you can turn it off as well. So that's really cool. And then over here on the right hand side, you've got a multifunction button, so you can play pause, answer calls, skip backwards and forwards in tracks, or skip backwards and forwards in podcasts. There's also volume up and down. So it's got all the major features that you need for buttons. Now, down here at the bottom is the USB-C connection, because these do charge via USB-C, and that is the only connection. So if you want to do 3.5mm headphone, what they've done is inside the case, you get several different cables, including a USB-C to 3.5mm that's over 13 feet long. This cable is over 13 feet long, but they also include inside this extra little pouch here, they include a shorter USB-C to 3.5mm jack as well. I think it's like 4 feet or something like that. So it's your standard sort of length for that. And they have USB-C to USB-C connection for charging. They have a USB-C to USB-A adapter, so you can plug it into your computer if you don't have a USB-C connection. They also have a 3.5mm to 6.3mm jack, so you can plug this into something that actually has a 6.3mm jack, like a headphone amplifier. I tried it, it works. You don't really need a headphone amplifier with these, but it does work. And they also give you an airplane adapter, so you can use that as well, and a microfiber cloth. So they give you a lot of different connections, which is really great for a product like this that's in this price category. You gotta have everything covered inside this case. Now, the case itself has Mark Levinson on the front, and it is nice and it feels good. Now, as I was saying earlier, these things, they fold flat. They don't fold, you know, up or anything like that. So they fold flat and you can put them in the case. But like I was saying earlier, these are really nice headphones. And that's not only for the headphones that are nice, but also they have an app that comes with this, the Mark Levinson app. And I have to say, this is a nice app as well. You've got the headphone there in the center, gives you a battery status, lets you know if you're up to date on the firmware. There's a menu here, so you can go do like support and stuff like that. And then over here is settings. And it actually doesn't have a whole lot of settings. You can do some noise canceling changes there. You can change the bass contour, whether you want a neutral sound, a little bit more bass, a little bit less bass. There's also a timer for auto off on these to save power. It's standard 30 minutes, but you can basically set it however you want. And then there's on head detection, which basically means that you can take these off and it pauses the music, and then when you put them back on, it can begin playing your music. Now, one thing I did notice about that is it's a little bit slow. It takes an extra, I don't know, second and a half, maybe 2 seconds to pause or restart music when you put it back on, but they do have that feature, and it's a nice feature. I kind of like having it, but to be honest with you, with the thumb placement of this button, it's just as easy to just pause with your thumb when you're taking it off as well. So I think they've done a really good job with the design and a really good job with the app, because it is very clean and just overall a nicely designed app. Now, as far as battery life is concerned, these do have about 30 hours of playback. So it is plenty of battery life for pretty much anything that you're going to do. And honestly, one of the good things about having that type of battery life is over time, as the battery degrades, you're still going to have good battery life. So let's say in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years or whenever the battery degrades by 50%, you still got 15 hours of battery life, which is really good. And with these being so comfortable, it is easy to wear these for an extended period of time and just feel good doing it. Now, as far as noise canceling is concerned, I tried the noise canceling. It works really, really well. I compared it to my Sony WH-1000 MX4s, which is sort of my actual wireless headphones. And if those are 5, I would say this is like a 4.8, 4.9 is really, really close. I think they've done a great job with the noise cancellation of these headphones. And it helps that these cups create such a nice seal around you, so it does drown out the engine noise and stuff like that. You can also make phone calls with these headphones. So I'm going to play a quick audio sample so you can hear how the headphones sound compared to an iPhone. This is a call quality sample inside on the iPhone. This is a call quality sample inside on the 5909s. All right, let's move on and talk about sound design, and then we'll talk about sound quality. And I want to start with sound design because these headphones are actually based on the Harman curve. And if you aren't familiar with the Harman curve, it is a curve that was developed by the Harman group in the early 2010s. And what they were doing was they were doing some research to figure out what headphone sound signature sounds the best to most people. Okay. And the reason why they were doing that is because headphones are different than traditional speakers or loudspeakers and stuff like that, because they are very close to your ears. So the sound that you're hearing is heavily influenced by the shape of your ears and your ear canals. And since everybody's ear shape and canal is different, things sound a little different to everybody, right? And so they were trying to figure out what sounds the best to most people. So they took a few different pairs of headphones and they tested them with a lot of different people, men, women, people in different age groups, to get a lot of variety. And what they created was, or is known as, the Harman curve. And that curve is boosted just a little bit in the bass and just a little bit in the treble to sound pleasing to most people. It's not a V-shaped curve or anything like that. It's just got just a little bit of boost, just so things sound just a little bit better. And these headphones are based on that curve. And I have to say, after spending many hours listening to a lot of different types of music, I like the way these sound. Although there is a boost at the bottom end and at the top end just a little bit, these actually have a nice balanced sound to them overall. And there is a lot of detail in the entire frequency regime. Whether you're listening to bass, mid-range, or treble, it sounds good. It's nice and balanced. And overall, I found the presentation to be actually just a little bit laid back overall. And I think that different types of music, like let's say a little bit laid back music, like let's say jazz, even some of your gospel albums and stuff like that, sound really good here. But if you want something that's a little bit more forward, maybe some heavy metal or some rock, maybe these aren't the headphones for you. But honestly, I think they work for all different types of music and even movies as well. These have a way of just sort of working with a lot of different things in a nice balanced way without fatiguing you, because they are laid back. I also found that they do a pretty good job with stereo imaging, putting things left and right like they're supposed to, and giving you depth to that image. Now, this is where I ran into an issue with my review process, like I mentioned earlier, and specifically my recommendations for the 5909s. I like the way these image. I like the way they sound. They're nice and balanced. They're nice and detailed. Love all of those things. But recently I reviewed these. The Focal Batiz, another pair of Bluetooth noise canceling headphones from Focal. And I like the way these image. I actually like the way they image even better than the 5909s that I'm wearing. And when I talk about imaging, I'm talking about three-dimensionality, I'm talking about a little bit about dynamics, and I'm also talking about just the emotional impact. The Batis have a bit more emotional impact with music as compared to the 5909s. I like the 5909s, but the Batis do it just a little bit better, okay? And what does that mean? Well, it just means that honestly, from a sound quality standpoint, I like the Batis a little bit better. But the problem with the Batis is I notice them a little bit more on my head. Okay, there's just a little bit more clamping force, so they're a little bit less comfortable than the 5909s. And these are headphones, you're wearing them, so comfort means a lot. Okay, I didn't get any issue or any headaches or anything like that when wearing the Batis, but again, I noticed them. So when I was thinking about my recommendations for the 5909s and thinking about the fact that I've listened to these Batis, listened to them both back to back with different types of music, and I do like the Batis a little bit more, I had to think about when you're listening to music, what's more important, the sound quality or the comfort? And in my mind, I have to say, I think the comfort is just a little bit more important because headphones are so personal, and you're going to be wearing these for hours on a plane, on a train, sitting at home, just listening to your music. So you have to think about comfort. And so in my mind, I think I do recommend the 5909s over the Batis just a little bit from a comfort standpoint for me. But I recommend that you try both of them. Try the Batis, try the 5909s, and just put them on quickly in a store. Go to a store like Audio Advice and try them on to see which one fits. If you notice that the Batis, you notice that clamping force a little bit more than the 5909s, get the 5909s. Because like I said, these images a little bit better, a little bit more realism, and these are actually a little bit more forward too compared to the 5909s, but the 5909s do sound good. Now, they're priced a little differently too. The Batis are like $7.99 and these are $9.99. So there is a $200 difference, and that's a pretty sizable difference. But I think if you are in this particular class looking at headphones, that's not as big of a deal to you. Okay, I'm just going to be honest. But I do think the 5909s sound great. But again, I like the Batis as well. So that's sort of where I've ended up on my review of the 5909s. I like the 5909s. I think they look better than the Batis. Overall, I like the 5909s. One other difference between these two while I'm sitting here, the Batis also come with a voice assistant as well. You have a button so you can activate, your different voice assistants. They don't have that with the 5909s. But otherwise, these things sound great. You can also check out my Batis review. I'll put a link in the description below so you can check that out. If you want to purchase the 5909s or the Batis or anything else, use those links in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you next time.